It's actually one of the clearest memories I have, and it still makes me break out in a cold sweat. I clearly remember at the end of the month going, I don't think I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage if I don't get my expenses through. And obviously, with processing expenses and then the time it takes them to go through is really quite, critical, especially when you have other very large expenses in your personal life.
I went off to the US because my entire team were based there for 6 weeks to onboard and meet the team and various other things, and didn't have a corporate card on day one, which is pretty common. Most companies are just not quite that efficient. And although I think the hotel for the first week was covered, stuff like that, over the course of 6 weeks, I had to pay for taxis and food and all sorts of other things and keep all the receipts. And I ended up having to extend my credit card limit to make sure that I could afford all of this stuff. And it, became quite stressful because it was just racking up. I was conscious that I'd maybe lost a couple of receipts and was trying to figure out the process to get a corporate card and all of these things. And meanwhile, being new, trying to make a good impression, didn't want to say anything to anyone, was too embarrassed to say to anyone that this was, potentially a bit of a problem. And then fast forward, after actually kind of getting back to London, actually having to collate all of these expenses, submit them. As I mentioned, I'm sure I lost some, and then wait for the kind of process to go through of actually getting them back and making sure that it was all going back in my account, paying off credit card bills, all that kind of stuff. So since then, I've always been very conscious of the burden you can put onto particularly more junior people in their careers in the early days when they start, when there's an expectation that you'll go somewhere and spend money on the company's behalf and have to go through all of the processes to get it back.